Good evening. So glad you dropped by today. I hope you've had a good week and stayed healthy and busy, and the weeks do fly by. So I'm glad that you're here, and hoping that tonight I can inspire you with some sample cards from our brand new catalog. My name is Lynda Phippen, and I'm an independent demonstrator from Stampin' Up in Ontario, Canada. So welcome, and let's get started. So we've all been able to order some product from the new catalog, the 2021 and 2022. It has some great products in it, lots of fun. You're going to enjoy it. The set that we're going to use today is called Hand-Penned Petals. Did I get that right? Yes, I did. So it's found on page 104. It comes with all these lovely stamps, die sets, some designer series paper that is all hand painted by the specialty artists at Stampin' Up. So this is a little different in the sense that it's like watercolor, hand painted, very pretty. So this here is the set itself, and it was lots of fun to play with. Here are some of the dies that I cut out so you could take a look. These are the ones we're going to be using tonight. So here is our first card. And the sentiments on these cards on this particular set are quite nice, although just thanks is something simple that a lot of people just need to be thanked for the things that they do. So I've used designer paper and one die on this one from the set, and these two are scallop dies from scalloped contour dies, and there's a number of sets that go with this, and I used I don't know if you call the biggest one the first. I did the second and the third for this particular card. And here are all our pieces, and I'll just set this aside. Looks a little more, there's a little more here because I think I have extra ones. I don't need all of this stuff. Okay, so this is part of the designer series paper, and you can see it's hand painted in kind of a whimsical kind of way. So it's quite pretty. So when we do some stamping, that's kind of the way it looks. Okay, so I'll put the sizes that we use today in under the description, and we will first there's just an 1/8 of an inch all the way around this white sheet, and I used a new punch to do the corners, and I've done them already, but it is very simple. I'll just redo it again. Just put it in there, punch it down, and you get rounded corners, which I thought was kind of a nice touch for this particular card. Okay, so I need my glue. Let's see. Look at that, brand new glue. Haven't even opened it yet. There we go. Okay, so the first layer is, like I said, an 1/8 of an inch smaller Then let me see if I can remember. I should remember this. 8.5 by 11, and we cut it by 4 1/4 and score it at 5.5. So I will put those dimensions on the card or on the descriptions below. So just 1/8 of an inch all the way around. Then I put the designer series paper with a scallop, and the scallop is from this particular set as well. I was wondering where that went. So this is the scallop that I used, and just kind of centered it so that you'd have the same size of scallop on each end. So it just gives it a little nice touch. So we'll glue that one on. This is the other side of the designer series paper. It was a very pretty color. And we'll center that. Easier said than done sometimes. Okay. Then this one here, I just, again, centered this one. The fun part is I wanted something a little different for the sentiment. And both of these pieces have scallops. It's all about scallops. And that's an extra piece. All about the scallops. But what I did for this, I used a piece of trim, a piece of, it's a twine, baker's twine. And just to be a little unique, I wrapped it around. Oops, sorry about that. The last 3 little scallops, just to, I don't know, just to be a little different. It's not a bow, and it's not, so I did just 3 because I didn't want it to go too high. And see, again, just a little different look. And then I put some dimensions on the back to give it a little height. And you want to put the dimensions. You don't want to skimp on the dimensions because you don't want it to squish in the mail. So I'm just going to make sure that I put an extra dimension on there to hold it down. What do you think? Think that looks all right? Okay. So today we had amazing warm weather today, 17 degrees, which was nice and warm. It's still not summer weather, but it's coming. Okay, so just center that. This blue is Misty Moonlight, which picks up the colors in the designer series paper. This here is a die cut that comes with the set. It's quite pretty. I didn't want to color it. I wanted just to keep it white, but I did put Wink of Stella on it, which adds a little sparkle. I'm just looking for my scrap paper here, sorry. So just, now I don't know that you're going to be able to see the sparkle, but it's just enough to be not a plain piece of paper. So there's no real right or wrong way to put that on. And I'm not sure that you can actually see the sparkle, but it is there. And then I just put some glue on it, and I wanted to make sure that the sentiment, it will be on there. So as long as we center it on the top part, it will be fine. Every once in a while, a little piece stays in there. Put that on there. And what I did for the sentiment, I always do more than one sample of a sentiment, because sometimes you lose them, or it doesn't show the way you want it to. So this is just Fussy Cat. And there we go. Put some dimensions on that as well. And of course you're going to get it on right across there. And actually, I think I'm going to put dimensions in between there, because I'm not sure that that glue is going to cooperate the way we want it to. Okay, so glue and dimensions should do it for us. There we go. And on the inside, just put that aside. On the inside, I again use that punch to round that off. And another layer, because you want to be able to write something on the inside. Now there's the pieces from, I cut some pieces from the layer, so you can, you know, have a scalloped, or from the front, the pieces, you know how we save all our pieces. So it doesn't really matter which one you use. So I think for this one, I'm going to use the scallop edge. And it also has a stitch on it, so it's quite pretty. Goes with the stitches that are all along. And if you find that too much, then certainly don't feel like you have to do that. And I'll just put one on the top, like a little umbrella. Or maybe I'll put one on the bottom, because I seem to have something on there. You know how these things happen. Look at that. An easy fix. that's what happens when you cut upside down. Let's move this over so that it looks like it was a plan. A wonderful plan. And there is our first card. And I think that the little bits of blue throughout it looks quite pretty. So there's card number 1. Oh, I did forget. It's not quite finished. We have to put a few little gems on here. And these are from the Christmas holiday rhinestones. And they have just the right blue, I thought. So we'll just put 3 of those on. There we go. And I had forgotten that I had these little bumblebees. Excuse me. So I also put a little gold bumblebee on because I just thought that's where it went. Would be a good spot. And I think this went with the dandelion set, but I'm not exactly sure. So the bumblebee right into the flower. There's card number 1. All done. Card number 2 is with some of these flowers that I die cut. So this is a little bit more, it takes a little bit more time to cut them all out, but the rest of it comes together quite simply. And this designer series paper I thought was very, very pretty. Just subtle leaves and quite lovely. So I used the circles because the theme seems to be a little bit of scallop. So I used the scallop that is in the die set of the hand-painted petals. So the scallop there, and then both of the circles are scalloped. These are from the layered circles, and you can combine the solid for the inside and the scallop on the outside, and they're all made to go that way. But I decided, because we can do this, I did both of the circles scalloped. And the size of those, I meant to look up before, is the 3-inch and 2.5. So those are the 2 sizes that I used. Okay, so this is a very quick and easy card. And so the it's still 4.5. And what I did was I brought in a 1/2 inch for the scallop on the front. And you certainly could use that as a top fold or a side fold, and we're going to use it as a side fold. And this is the other side of the designer series paper, but I liked these leaves. So this goes on the inside, and it's the exact same size, so I wanted to line it up. So I started on the outsides to make sure that there was no hangover of the white. So that is the inside part. And this I put in the center. And this one here, this color is, you know, I can't believe that I can't remember. It's mint macaron. You know, sometimes when you get older, you can't remember things like you did when you were younger. And maybe that's not a bad thing sometimes. But for the purposes of fun stuff, it would be nice to remember everything. So I used garden green and mint macaron. The garden green is the ink that I used for the sentiment, and this sentiment says, "Feel better, friend." And sometimes we just need to be thought of when we're not feeling so well. So I centered that. And I do like the scallops on both sides, on both of the circles. So when I was doing this, I wanted the inside petals, the inside of these flowers, they can come out, but I left them in. I don't know if you can see that or not, just for interest's sake. So I put, the two colors that I used were Highland Heather and Gorgeous Grape. So I put some of the seal on the pieces to keep them in. Oh, that's the wrong color. So I just stuck them on each side. Then I put some of these yellow flowers that I'm not sure what they are, but they're so I just put 3 of them on the middle. And then when you're putting your leaves on, this color is the garden green as well. So you can just slip them on there. But I liked it when they went over the white of the card. And these ones, of course, I punched out the inside so they had, you could see through them, because it's kind of interesting. So I did and there are some single leaves as well, so you can stick those. And I had great intentions of using my tweezers while I was putting glue on, so my fingers wouldn't get all full of glue. But, you know, they're right out here for me to remember. But so let's try it. Put a little bit of glue on them with your tweezers, and then your fingers don't get totally glued. So one there. And one there. I could have put those up a little bit higher, couldn't I? Okay. And on the inside, I had a bigger circle, which seems to have escaped me right now. But this is what it looks like. Another scalloped white circle and the flowers on the side. And to finish it off, these are Genial Gems, and they have the two, the peachy color that we have and this green, and they've got some glitter on them, so they are quite pretty in two sizes. So let's just put two big ones and a little one to fill that one in, and that is our card number 2. So let me show you the one with the with that in it. I think that looks quite nice. That would make anybody feel better. Card number 2. Oh, there's a circle. Okay, well, we'll finish that off later. You know, I do double check to make sure that I have everything. Okay, card number 3. Anything is possible. This card, I stamped one of the flowers, and I want to show you 2 ways that you can do this. You can either, okay, well, let's do the stamping first. It can be stamped, and you have to remember that they don't line up, so you can't be hard on yourself because it's hand painted and that's the style of it. So I'm going to show you, and you decide what you like. Okay. And it's okay that that's the way it shows. So then, let me see. I had this lined up before. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And the leaves are the same idea. So if you are good with that, then this is the way to go. So I'll just show you. Okay, so that's how it looks if you stamp it. And it looks very much like the designer paper that goes with it. Now, there's another way to do this as well, and I will show you. The ink refills are great for this, but I will tell you, when you put a little dot on, it's really hard to tell what color it is. So I just put the, this is Highland Heather, and this is the Garden Green. So I just leave my inkers, re-inkers right there so I can remember. I can tell because they're very dark. These are like a watercolor pen, and I filled it with water so you can just squeeze it slightly, and then you get a drop of water on each side. So if your color is too dark, then you just take the water and dilute it a little bit. So I'm not an artist, but this is really quite simple to do. And if you find you have too much water, just have a cloth nearby and you can take some of the water off. If you want it to be darker, then you just use less water. And for those of you who know how to get the right shading in. That might be anyway. And then, okay, so the garden green, and that is quite dark, so I don't want it to be quite so dark on my leaves. So that's how quick. So try both and see what you like. And then for that particular, let's get rid of this. For that particular flower, there is a die to cut it out. And this is the one that I did earlier. And yeah. So, okay. Okay, so we've got all our pieces. First thing we're going to do is get our ribbon on first. This is the other side of this designer series paper that looks very pretty as well. I wanted to put the ribbon on first because I usually think of it after I put my first layer on. So again, the designer series paper makes for a pretty quick card and lots of pretty designs on it. I did a square 3 by 3 and I just centered that. Just watch your ribbon there. I guess I should have. I put dimensions on the flower. And one more, I think. There we go. So every time you do this, it doesn't matter what method you do or the colors you use. Every time it's different, which is quite nice. Oh, look at my ribbon went again. Stay straight. Stay straight. I just hold that for a second. The gems that I used for this are called Silver and Clear. They had little diamonds, so these are the gems. So I used the diamond ones because it just seemed to work. I'm gonna have to put my hand in the nail. Okay, so I used 3 of those. There we go. The sentiment that I used for this one is anything is possible. Oh, look at, I put the dimensions on already. I'd like to say I was clever, but you know, we think of these things. Sometimes they fall into place. Okay, anything is possible. Centered the best that you can. I don't need these here. And for this one, I used the ladybugs. And just stick them on with a glue dot. That didn't come off. Okay, there we go. There it goes. Stick that on. Then I'm going to stick this on first, and then we did some more stamping on the card itself, or on the inside panel. Well, now that's not straight at all. Sometimes I need to just get all three corners here. There we go. And for the very inside, I used Highland Heather, and I used this stamp and just went all the way around. Well, not all the way around, but do I need to put another one on there? And then I took the evergreen and just did a few leaves along as well. And then the tiny one, put a few of those in as well. And there we are. Oops, sorry. That makes an extra noise. And there we have card number 3. So I hope you enjoyed these cards. They were fun to do, and so many possibilities when you're making them. Not the same card. And there we go. So a thank you card, feel better card, and anything is possible. So any of these cards, someone would just be delighted to be thought of and for us to send some encouraging words. So I hope you have a good week, and I will put together something with all of the things that I received this week from my order. I'm very excited, so I will come up with some good ideas. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you for just subscribing and your encouraging comments. So I thank you very much, and I will see you next Wednesday. Have a great week. Bye-bye.